It's grey, it's wet, it's miserable. But hopefully I've got 10 tips to brighten up your day, so stay tuned. Keep your old shoe polish tin, buy a jar of cheap petroleum jelly, and steal some makeup pads from the wife. See how many makeup pads will fit in the shoe polish tin. Soak half of them in the petroleum jelly and then stack them clean and soaked in the tin. You now have some pads that when lit will burn for about 4 minutes, and because they're greasy you can also use them for lubricating and preserving. If you have a nicotine patch container, it has 2 parts, pads in one part, matches and striker in another. A complete ignition system. 2 is 1 and 1 is nothing. However, this can lead to you carrying far too much equipment, and too much heavy equipment means you leave it behind. It's better not to lose or break things. Dummy cords are great for not losing things. But how about dummy cording your hat? Use a loop to secure things like hearing defenders that are on one string. If you have something with a single strap like a head torch, use a piece of Velcro to fix the tape to your hat. Available on the internet at a reasonable price is self-adhesive fluorescent tape. This is great for putting on kit that you want to use in low light conditions when you're not going covert. It has a multitude of uses, and it means you can find your kit in the dark, at least for a few hours after sundown anyway. Button compasses are good for finding general directions. But if you've got one and you want to improve it, put a mark somewhere on the outside of the casing. You can use this to get the direction your compass is pointing down to the nearest degree mark, or even between them. So in many cases, this means down to the nearest 5 degrees. This is good enough for navigating to a linear feature. If you've got some of the self-adhesive fluorescent tape, cut a thin sliver, put a point on it and stick it onto the compass housing. This means you can use the compass in low light conditions. Here we can read the compass bearing at about 58 degrees. It's a lot easier to do it with a mark than it is without. Not only are the bearings easier to read, they're easier to use for navigation in the field. If you've got a loose screw, it doesn't really matter whether it's on a door frame, a pack frame or a compass. You need to tighten it up and keep it tight. So get the screw, wrap it in plumber's tape, put it back in, screw it back up tight. It'll hold. And plumber's tape is cheap, but it works. It's more than a little disappointing to reach for your emergency rations and find mangled Mars bars and crumbling flapjacks. One answer is to use a food container, such as a powdered chocolate jar, which is plastic, lightweight but tough. Store your emergency rations in there. It won't stop them getting hot or cold, but it will stop them disintegrating. There are many ways to attach one piece of equipment to another. Zips, tie-offs, laces. In the military, some sort of C-clip, Alice clip, and today Molly webbing. C-clip and Alice fastenings are usually used with webbing 2 inches wide. Molly deals with alternative strips of webbing 1 inch wide. It can be fairly easy to use C and Alice clips as well as Molly webbing. Get a 1 inch strip of webbing and size it to the width of the strap you're going to attach it to. Then sew it in a loop. If you're going to be using heavy webbing, reinforce it with a piece of plastic and tie it down with tape. Then it can be put over the webbing and the loop put next to one piece of webbing for a 2 inch fastening, moved so you can use it alternatively with Molly strapping. It's easy to make, effective in use, and you don't need much skill either. If you're pulling together a first aid kit for family, group or car use, don't buy a cheap one from a supermarket or anywhere else. If you want something that's worth the money, go for a Deutsche Industry Norm 13164 car first aid kit. They're varying prices. You can get them cheaper from the internet anytime, or even cheaper from one of the food discounters in UK. It's a good start for a first aid kit, and usually there's enough space inside the packaging to add your own items such as painkillers. If necessary, you can buy replacement items for the kits, or because they're so cheap, relegate the old items for practicing your first aid skills. If you have an unsecured water bottle in an outside pocket, sooner or later you're going to lose it. One answer is to stitch on a strip of webbing. Then tack it down every inch or so. Use some elastic cord. After trial and error, cut it to length, allowing for enough cordage to put a knot in it. Feed one end through the loop. Feed both ends through a cord lock. Fasten it with a figure-of-8 knot that you'll be able to undo. This will allow you to move the cord from one location to the other. Put the bottle in, tighten it cord lock, bottle safe, water safe. Fluorescent nail varnish is easy enough to find and buy. However, it doesn't seem to really paint well onto most things. Don't know about nails, never tried it. However, dipping things into the bottle and letting them dry and re-dipping them seems to work. It does work, but I'm not sure how weatherproof it is. What I'm going to do is to coat an object in the nail varnish, put it inside some sort of transparent container and see if it works. It does appear to work. So once the glowing part has been sealed inside the container, it will provide me with a long-lasting, weatherproof fluorescent marker. Get out there, get training. You know it makes sense, even when the weather is bad, because the outdoors isn't always bright, sunny and pleasant. You know it makes sense. Take care out there.